Well, good morning, Yogendra Rana here. The topic for our discussion today is rural insurance perspective. Rural insurance perspective. The IRD Act 1999 provides objects to inter alia seeks to promote and ensure orderly growth of the insurance industry and for matters concerned therewith or incidental thereto. So the object of the Act provides North Star for the insurance regulatory apparatus to act as a special purpose vehicle also. There are various duties, powers and functions. One such power is cancelling the registration, specifying requisite qualifications, code of conduct and call for information. In a nutshell, the regulatory apparatus should act as a lord protector, the watch, the lord of all the erring insurance companies to commit the promise they made while the registration. So keeping in mind the caveat pronounced, the state could not slumber back to the realm of conventional argument that directive principles of the state policy are unenforceable in the courts of law. So we don't have a corresponding duty to follow the letter of the law. In practice, it is lucid under Article 32, 38, which states the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social, economical and political shall inform all the institutions of the national life. The state shall in particular strive to minimize the inequalities in income and endeavor to eliminate inequalities in status, facilities and opportunities not only among us individuals but also among us groups or of people residing in different areas of engage in different vocations. So under Article 32 has been keystone of the directive principles. This article is a directive to the state to give effect to the objective expressed in the preamble of the Constitution by securing a social sector for the promotion of the welfare of the people. So it is explicitly clear that making laws to upliftment would not be suffice but giving effect by setting a pacemaker to the IRD Act 1999 as a precondition to realize the goal. Therefore, penetration would not be most appropriate to put into the exact word for achieving the goal would be floodlight, like a candle elevating the darkness, and commensurate to the age it should be the floodlight. Therefore, rural insurance intends to establish a sustainable system covering both urban and rural areas, covering risks such as production and market failure, new partnership and innovations, and addressing risk coping methods. Insurance is the buzzword that should grow inclusively with rural areas. Any kind of disparity would lead to disproportionate growth that would collectively damage the nation. Floodlight into the rural areas is essential precondition to mean the piece of legislation as a social security legislation. The common man would not feel the benevolence of the act if the attributes of insurance benefits fails to rip down the lowest strata of the society. Though India has significantly moduled their success in eradicating famines, but unreported famines continue to burn in the rural areas, enticing the Indian treasure, that is farmers, to move to industrialized cities but greater hope of living a reasonable standard food and livelihood. These migrations have been daunting task unable to tackle more complex problems such as chronic undernutrition. Moreover, marginalized groups affected by young hunger in the rural population such as children or the homeless cannot effectively exercise the political freedom necessary to spur the government to action. The same alienation that explains the inaction of the authoritarian government in the face of famine also explains the apathy of the government in response to hunger and homelessness. That alienation also explains the poverty of Indian masses in terms of mortality. So by income level, even poor people in western world and even in metropolitan cities are richer than poor rural people. But quality of life is influenced by non-economic factors such as social and institutional priorities, for example, healthcare and insurance. As a result, rural landless peasants are poorer in terms of the ability to live a long life than many men and women in the developing world and metropolitan cities. Hence, rural insurance should not just penetrate the rural areas, but a floodlight of insurance schemes should spread horizontally and vertically in tandem with insurance schemes available for the rich and super rich. Thus, the sole measure of scaling the spread of insurance should not be measured by optimal use of insurance policies in urban sectors, but very pursue optimization in rural areas, offering capabilities to say and lead a meaningful life. That is the ability to live life as one value it. RDA needs amendment. Section 32B enumerates on insurance business in rural or social sector. This newly inserted section says that every insurer must undertake such percentage of life insurance and general insurance in rural or social sector as may be specified by the authority in official gazettes in this behalf after coming into force of the 1998 9 Act. So the provision provides sufficient leeway for the insurance company to bypass the necessity of undertaking insurance activity in rural areas at three junctions. The provision as such is discretionary for the insurance companies to such percentage, which doesn't state the maximum or minimum. Nevertheless, the provision has left to the discretion of the insurance company to fix the ceiling limit. Secondly, there is no mandate to provide services to rural sector which provides insurance-stable power to choose the option. Third, the provision is directory in nature, which supports or which purports rather discretionary power at the mercy of the insurance companies. Disposal similar to this critical legislative draft of proposed as insurance companies disposes. So there is a need to omission and commission. The word or should be omitted and interjected with and making connection between rural and social sector. By this way, the illness can be cured. Section 32C provides for obligation of insurance in respect of rural or unorganized sector and backward classes. So this new section makes it compulsory that every insurer shall discharge the obligations specified under Section 32V to provide life or general insurance policies to persons residing in rural sector, workers in the unorganized or informal sector, for economically vulnerable or backward classes of the people, and other categories of persons as may be specified by regulations made by the authority after the commencement of the 1999 Act. Such insurance policies should include crops also. So the provision is explicitly clear that without amending the foregoing Section 32B, this provision will not see the light of the day. Though the provision is superficially fit, it requires elaboration of policies as the need for every region distinctly differs the region where weather is prone to cause drought or flood. The policies should cover even the market fluctuations, otherwise the benign part of this fruitful realization would not arrive permanently. So the emphasis on elucidating importance of distinct treatment of agriculture is due to reason known to all and sundry. Despite all indicators pointing towards an agrarian crisis, the central government was reluctant to admit that there was anything seriously wrong with the agrarian situation. Continuing suicides by thousands of peasants in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Kerala forced the government to wake up from the slumber. The condition is grave and wants immediate attention. All this can be possible only by making amendment to Section 32B and 32C. Generally, there is a misconception that insurance companies moving to the periphery, means rural, from the center, would be inexpensive, despite the fact that 70% of the population living in villages. India doesn't live in towns but in villages. But in the cities want to demonstrate that their population will live for the villages of India and bulk of The resources should be spent on ameliorating to the condition of living the poor. Thank you.